Sometimes it's not about hyper-articulation or detailed paint apps and sculpting. Sometimes it's just about fun toys, like it was when we were kids, and hence Marvel Mech Strike. This series came out in 2021, and the idea of the series is basically the Avengers, but they all have Hulkbuster style mech suits, and so does Thanos, because why not? I don't know the backstory or mythology of this particular line. There was a 5-issue miniseries that Marvel released. I did not read it, and I'm really not interested in it. I just bought this series because I thought it was cool. And it is a series aimed squarely at kids. How do I know that? Because they're cheap, they're plentiful, and there was enough left to go to the clearance aisles. How many collector's lines can we say go to clearance these days? Okay, except for the Eternals. How many can we say? Not many, right? The figures in the Mech Strike line are about 6 inches. They seem just a hair smaller than Marvel Legends. They don't have the amount of articulation that Legends have. Just basic single jointed knees, elbows, etc. They all come with these sort of techno shields in the individually carded figures, but you can also get these giant mech suits that also come with a figure that sits right inside the mech suit. I thought it was a fun series. I picked most of these up on clearance, but then I saw Mech Strike Series 2, a series called Monster Hunters. So I went out and I bought the entire first wave of Monster Hunters. I didn't even wait for clearance because these things look cool. Again, I don't know the mythology behind this line. I think it has something to do with Dr. Doom here, casting some sort of spell or mixing science with sorcery or something like that. So now all the characters look like they've been bonded to some sort of Lovecraftian creatures, which is kind of a pretty cool concept for a kid's toy line. So we'll take a look at all these figures in the package and then we'll get them out and play with them. The 4 basic figures in the line are Dr. Doom, Captain America, Black Panther, and Thor. They all come with one accessory, and you can see they each share this sort of evil eye motif. All the character designs have this thing to tie them together. I've got to say, I really like the card artwork on this line. This is really nice artwork, the type that you don't see on kids' lines anymore, or collectors' lines for that matter. On the back there's also this great scene with all the different characters in the line. This is something you used to see on the back of, say, Transformers packaging, where they had a big battle scene with all the characters you could collect. So that's pretty cool. Dr. Doom comes with what looks like a special shield. We have Captain America. Of course, he does come with a shield. He always comes with a shield. A very stylized version of his usual shield. And on the back, you can see an A, denoting that he's part of the Avengers family there, where Dr. Doom had a 4 because he's a Fantastic Four villain, even though there are no, as of yet, Fantastic Four characters in this lineup. Next, we have Thor. Again, some really nice artwork on there. And this is a really weird version of, not sure if it's supposed to be Mjolnir or a Stormbreaker, I don't think it matters. And you have that evil eye in the middle of the hammer again. And then, of course, we have Black Panther. And he also comes with a, looks like a shield. Next, in his very own price point, is the monster version of Loki. Looks like he's a little taller than the carded figures, and he does have a Try Me feature on the back, where you can kind of flap those insect-type wings. And he's got all these sort of weird appendages, horns and spikes hanging off him. Just a really cool-looking figure. And again, that eye motif in the middle of his chest. Next up, we have what's called the Hunter Suit, Captain America and Iron Man. And unlike the first wave of Mech Strike figures. These do not have a smaller figure inside. This is just a big, beefy figure in and of itself. They each have a weapon, and again, some really nice artwork on the packaging. These also have a Try Me action feature, where you can flip up and see some hidden guns and such in their chest. And lastly, in his own size class, is this monster version of Thanos. And this guy is huge. He's about 12 inches tall. And he, again, is all Lovecrafted out with the spikes and the eye. And he also has an action feature where he can sort of grab smaller figures with this hand. So I'm sure this is a cool action feature for kids, but there's going to be basically no way to pose this hand and use the articulation because of that action feature. And of course, he's got a monsterized version of the Infinity Gauntlet. Every version of Thanos now in a kid's line has to have some version of the Infinity Gauntlet, even though that would be, automatic win in playtime. He's got the Infinity Gems, but, we'll use our imaginations to circumvent that somehow. And again, really cool artwork of that monster version of Thanos. You can really see it on the side there too. I freed Captain America first. And there is a lot of articulation in these for being just inexpensive kids figures. You get the 360 shoulder, up and down. There's also a 360 in the elbow joint, as well as a bend. Good articulation in the hips. Knees, no ankle, but there's also a 360 in the knee. I also really like the sculpting and the creativity in these designs, just taking the normal character designs and making them really bizarre. Minimal paint applications, but that's okay. It's just a kid's figure. The shield just pegs into the forearm. And I believe you can also peg it to the back. Yep. Same type of articulation on Black Panther. Very minimal paint apps. He's got that evil eye in the middle. His weapon is sort of a claw shield. Reminds me of what Lion-O from Thundercats had. The Thor figure, very cool looking with that blue and gold armor. And he's got this weird looking monster Mjolnir. Not as much articulation in this figure though. He's got this shoulder armor, so that prevents his arms from going out. They didn't even put that option in there. And there's some flexible armor on his hips here, but not flexible enough to allow for a lot of movement out. So cool looking figure, but not a whole lot of articulation in him. Dr. Doom in his traditional green and metallic sort of gray to simulate his armor. Like Thor, he's got this these big pieces of armor on his shoulders, so there's no outward movement on the arms, just around and some in the elbows. A little more than Thor in the hip area. And he comes with this sort of shield looking thing with the giant eye in the middle of it. Here's the God of Mischief, who has really let himself go in recent days. And he's got what they are calling a monster wing attack. Fear my monster wings. Oh, that's not too impressive. The eye in the center of his chest opens and closes as well when you do that. And this figure is sorely lacking in articulation. He's basically a 5 POA. So you get the shoulders, hips, and a tiny, tiny bit in the head, not that much. These appendages are flexible, but they are not articulated. So he's a little bigger than the others. He's got that action wing feature, but not very impressive in and of itself as an action figure. Hunter Armor Iron Man. We saw that action feature in the box earlier. He flips out his guns like so. He's got this clip-on bladed weapon slash shield. And as far as articulation, he's got shoulders, elbows, and hips. And that's about it. He's just a big, bulky, monster hunting dude. Hunter Armor Captain America, basically the same deal as Iron Man. He's got the flip-out guns, the blade weapon shield, and all the same articulation, except that Captain America's armor can move his head slightly back and forth. And here's the big boy in his traditional blue and gold color scheme. You have some head articulation on him, shoulders, elbows, hips and knees, a little bit. And you do have articulation in this arm, but it cannot hold the pose because of that sort of springy gimmick on the inside. And as you can see, as you do that, the eye on his chest opens and closes as well. Thanos' action feature is called Monster Punch Attack. But the action feature is not in his fist arm. It's in the arm with the open hand. So you would think that he'd be able to sort of pick up a figure and hurl it like so. That's not really a monster punch. It's more of a monster shake. Of course, you could always try a monster smack attack. That's what you get for screwing around with magic, jerk. So I do really like this line, but as I always say, your mileage may vary. As I stated earlier, I do really like kid-oriented lines. They remind me of the stuff that we used to play with before we became collectors. These figures are sturdy, they're colorful, they're not that expensive. And I really like the design choices put into them. It's a very creatively designed line. It's an interesting take on characters and figures we've seen time and time again. So that's it for my look at Marvel Mech Strike Monster Hunters. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.